Us human beings are fascinated by secrecy. Hidden ceremonies, oaths of silence, secret handshakes. All of these things can be found in society even today, from the fraternities that litter college campuses to more elite societies like Skull and Bones that boast a roster of former presidents, but none of them compare to the Eleusinian Mysteries, a tightly guarded 2,000-year-old Greek ritual. This involved a secret initiation so powerful that emperors, philosophers, and peasants all risked everything to be a part of it. And once inside, they swore never to reveal what happened, or else they were left paying the ultimate price: death. To truly understand what made thousands of people risk their lives in a ritual like this, we have to start with a story about a mother and her daughter. In Greek mythology, Persephone was the daughter of Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, and Zeus, the god of sky and thunder who you're probably familiar with. Hades was the god of the underworld and also Zeus's brother. Together, they made a secret arrangement without the knowledge of Demeter to marry Persephone to him. They used the goddess Rhea to make a beautiful flower garden to entice Persephone far away from home. And while she was out picking flowers, Hades abducted her in his chariot and brought her to the underworld. It's said that Persephone's screams pierced for miles, which Demeter heard, and she spent many days searching for her daughter without a single clue. Eventually, she found out the plot between Zeus and Hades, which enraged her. She left the gods on Mount Olympus and began walking among mortals, slowly withering away over time. Her deteriorating condition meant crops stopped growing, the earth became barren, and famine was widespread. Eventually, this led to Zeus sending a messenger to the underworld to get Persephone back. Hades agreed, but tricked Persephone into eating pomegranate seeds of the underworld, which bound her to return to the underworld each following year. In this way, Persephone embodied the seasons of the earth. Her return to earth brought joy, symbolized by the season of spring, and then her yearly return to the underworld marks the onset of winter. So ultimately, she became the symbol for connection between life, death, and rebirth. And this is the core of what the Eleusinian ceremonies are all about. The initiates weren't just performing rituals, but they were stepping into Persephone's journey. Her descent into the underworld symbolized death, and her return to Demeter symbolized rebirth. And by reenacting this cycle, the initiates believed they too could conquer the fear of death. By sharing in Persephone's promise of life beyond the grave, they believed they could reach salvation. Every September, people from all corners of society left their homes behind and made the 15-mile trek to the village of Eleusis for this promise of salvation. Thousands of pilgrims packed this dirt road outside of Athens while singing hymns, carrying sacred objects, and purifying themselves in the sea, while slowly stripping away the ordinary world step by step. At the end of this road stood the Telesterion, the great hall of initiation. This vast stone building was built to hold thousands at once with thick walls and guarded doors. This ensured that what happened inside was the most tightly kept secret of the ancient world. While there's limited information about the exact ritual, we know it unfolded in 3 stages. First came legomena, or things said. In this phase, the myth of Persephone's abduction and Demeter's search was brought to life through music, hymns, ritual movement, and symbolic action. Initiates weren't just observers, but actual participants in a powerful emotional rite. Next came diknimina, or things shown. Deep inside the Telesterion in near darkness, sacred objects were revealed by the Hierophant with dramatic lighting and sounds like thunderous echoes, and this environment only further amplified the awe and the mystery. Next was dromena, or things done. During or following the enactments and revelations, secret words, sacred chants, or theological proclamations were spoken to the initiates. These were likely doctrinal affirmations or mystical statements tied to the experience of transcendence. And these 3 stages loosely tie into the story from earlier, with stage 1 representing loss and sorrow, with Persephone's descent into the underworld, stage 2 representing Demeter's search, and stage 3 representing the joyous ascent back to earth. But for the initiates, this was no mere story. In the darkness of the Telesterion, they all swore they had glimpsed something eternal. But what exactly did they see? Scholars think a big part of the powerfulness of this ceremony was linked to a sacred potion called kykeon, which every initiate drank before stepping into the Telesterion. On the surface, it was a simple mix of barley, mint, and water, but many believe there's more to it. The barley may have been contaminated with ergot, a fungus that produces natural psychedelic compounds in the same family as LSD. If true, then the initiates weren't just fasting, chanting, and watching ritual drama. They were entering an altered state of consciousness. So you can imagine, by this point, they were surrounded by thousands of people. They'd been purified by days of ritual and engulfed in darkness with hymns echoing off the walls, with a drink coursing through their veins that blurred the line between myth and reality. That means the visions of Persephone's descent and return would not have just been seen on a stage, but even in their mind. And death and rebirth were experienced not as a story, but through emotions on a personal level. And when initiates swore afterward that they had seen the truth about life and death, maybe they actually had. The conclusion of the ceremony had one final step. Every person had to swear an oath. They promised that what they saw inside would never be spoken about outside. And this vow was not symbolic. Breaking it meant death. Ancient sources tell us when a man named Diagoras of Melos mocked the mysteries in public, he was condemned to death for impiety. Others who revealed death details were hunted down, exiled, or executed. For the Greeks, betrayal of the mysteries wasn't just blasphemy, but a crime worse than murder. And because of this, the silence held. For nearly 2,000 years, through wars, plagues, and empires rising and falling, the secret of what really happened inside the Telesterion was never written down. That secrecy became part of the allure. Every initiate emerged changed, claiming to have conquered the fear of death, but none of them could tell the world how. For centuries, the mysteries carried on. Year after year, pilgrims walked the sacred road, drank the kykeon, and entered the Telesterion to face the secret of life and death. But ultimately, nothing lasts forever. By the 4th century CE, Christianity was spreading across the Roman Empire. Old rituals were banned, temples were closed, and then came the final blow. In 396 CE, invaders burned the Telesterion to the ground. With the hall destroyed and the priests gone, the mysteries ended forever. A ritual that had survived for almost 2,000 years was gone in a single fire. What survived were only whispers, fragments in ancient texts, scattered clues, and the enduring myth of Demeter and Persephone. But Eleusinian Mysteries weren't just an ancient ritual. They were a mirror of the human condition, our fear of death, our hunger for meaning, our desperate hope that there's something more. And for the initiates, the promise was clear. If Persephone could return from the underworld, maybe so could they. And maybe that's why the mysteries endured for so long, not because of secrecy or psychedelics or sacred objects, but because they touched the one question no society has ever escaped. What happens after we die? 2,000 years later, we still don't have an answer. But in the flicker of torchlight at Eleusis, generations believed they had found one. So this was the Eleusinian Mysteries.